Kingston couldn't say a word as he was escorted out of the courtroom hours ago.
Jury selection is now complete in the federal fraud case against rapper and singer Sean Kingston and his mother.
The federal fraud trial for rapper Sean Kingston and his mother are now underway in Fort Lauderdale.
New tonight, a guilty verdict in the federal fraud trial of singer Sean Kingston and his mother Janice Turner.
Suicidal when they say it's over.
Sean Kingston didn't fall off. He got exposed. The man who sang Beautiful Girls was out here allegedly finessing luxury brands, dodging invoices, and dragging Justin Bieber's name into one of the dumbest celebrity scams we've seen in years. We're talking fake receipts, unpaid jewelry, luxury cars he never paid for, and a sound system deal gone so sideways it ended in federal prison charges. And get this, he cried in court and yelled, "Protect my mother," as she was dragged away in cuffs. But this isn't a sad story. This is a delusional fairy tale that finally crashed into reality. Because the truth is, Sean Kingston wasn't mismanaging his money. He was allegedly never planning to pay in the first place. This isn't just about fraud. This is about how a fading pop star tried to fake an entire lifestyle and got caught in 4K by the Fed. And the craziest part, his own mom was his partner in crime, literally. And she's done this before. Let's talk about how Sean Kingston went from billboard to bracelets. Because this case isn't just wild, it's one of the boldest celebrity delusions we've seen since Fyre Festival. Here's the thing. Most people still think of Sean Kingston as that laid-back, feel-good island guy who gave us one viral hit and dipped. He wasn't threatening. He wasn't wild. He was just harmless. To the public, Sean was the guy who sang Beautiful Girls, dropped a few forgettable tracks after that, maybe got into a jet ski accident or two, and then quietly disappeared into music nostalgia. A one-hit wonder with a big smile, flashy chains, and a Jamaican-American twist that made him feel like hip-hop's tropical cousin. No one thought to ask how he was still living like a superstar, years after his last real chart hit. He had the mansion, the iced-out jewelry, the exotic cars, but let's be honest, when's the last time you heard anyone say, "Yo, throw on that new Sean Kingston"? Exactly. And that's why this story hit so hard, because the illusion worked. For years, people bought into the idea that Sean was still kind of famous, kind of rich, and definitely connected to other stars like Justin Bieber. But behind that smile, it was all allegedly fake. The wealth, fake. The deals, fake. Even the proof of payment for luxury items, faked. This wasn't a washed-up singer. This was a wannabe mogul, allegedly running fraud schemes with his mother and using old fame as a smokescreen. People believed in the brand, because nobody expects the guy who made Suicidal sound catchy to be leading a white-collar crime spree. But that's the trap. Because this wasn't a fluke. This was a setup that had been brewing for years. Let's be real. Sean Kingston's music career was just the trailer. The fraud was the feature film. Because once the hits stopped charting, Sean didn't downsize. He didn't pivot to real estate or quietly invest in tech like other smart, fading celebs. Nah, he doubled down on the lifestyle. And to keep the fantasy alive, prosecutors say he and his 62-year-old mom, Janice Turner, turned to straight-up deception. We're not talking one sketchy transaction. We're talking a multi-state, multi-year scam that involved fake wire transfers, phony payment confirmations, and luxury goods being purchased without a single dollar actually moving. Need a $150,000 sound system installed in your mansion? No problem. Just promise the company you'll do a promo video for them. Oh, and say Justin Bieber's gonna be in it too. Because why not throw in one of the world's biggest pop stars while you're lying through your teeth? That's what they allegedly did, and not just once. According to investigators, they pulled the same trick with jewelry, cars, designer clothing, basically anything expensive that could prop up the illusion that Kingston was still that guy. And when the companies started asking for payment, they got ghosted, or worse, sent fake receipts showing wire transfers that never happened. This wasn't just financial mismanagement. This wasn't being bad with money. This was a lifestyle built on lies. And the wildest part, they almost pulled it off. Until that sound system company sued. And that's when everything fell apart. The civil case cracked the door open. The feds? They kicked it off the hinges. Because it turns out when you're pretending to pay people, you leave a lot of digital breadcrumbs, and federal agents love carbs. Oh, here's where things go from messy to generational. Because this wire fraud case, it wasn't even Janice Turner's first rodeo. Back in 2006, yes, a whole year before Beautiful Girls dropped, Sean's mom was already in the system. She pleaded guilty to bank fraud and filing fake loan applications, served over a year in prison, and was released in March 2007. Guess what happened 2 months later? Beautiful Girls exploded onto the charts, and suddenly Sean Kingston became a household name. Almost like perfect timing, right? Let that sink in. His music career popped off the second his mom got out of prison for scamming banks. Coincidence? Maybe. But when you zoom out and look at the full timeline, it's giving mob family with melodies. The flashy lifestyle, the cash, the big advance money, it all hit right after a known fraudster got back into the picture. So when people saw Sean flexing Bentleys, diamonds, and private jets, they assumed he'd made it. But what if the real game wasn't music at all? Because think about it. Once the music slowed down, the flexing didn't. There were no new hits, no sold-out tours. But somehow the lifestyle stayed the same. That's not just suspicious. That's a blueprint. And Janice? She wasn't just his mom. She was allegedly his co-conspirator in a scheme that included 5 separate counts of wire fraud. It's giving family hustle, but not the VH1 kind. More like FBI Most Watched. So, no, this wasn't some sudden fall from grace. This was a long-time pattern finally catching up. A pattern that started before the fame, and apparently never stopped. Now here's where the facade completely crumbled. In federal court, under pressure, under oath, and under the glares of prosecutors who were not playing games. Sean Kingston's defense? He didn't do it. And if he did, he didn't mean to. And if he meant to, he was just a kid. Yes, that's really what his lawyers argue. That this grown man, 35 years old, was basically a confused child who didn't know what he was doing with his money. They tried to paint him as financially illiterate, naive, and too celebrity distracted to understand the multiple fraudulent wire transfers and fake documents he was submitting. Make it make sense. Meanwhile, his mom, Janice, took the stand in her own defense. Bold move. Because while Sean stayed quiet, didn't testify, didn't speak, Janice rolled the dice. And from what legal experts say, it was the kind of testimony that did more harm than good. Because when you're being asked why you submitted phony payment proof to buy luxury cars, jewelry, and tech, I didn't know doesn't land well, especially when you've already been convicted of a similar scam back in 2006. You can't plead clueless when there's a paper trail longer than a CVS receipt. And when the verdict was read, Sean lost it. He burst into tears in court, and as his mom was taken away in handcuffs, he screamed, "Protect my mother!" The irony? This whole thing happened because they were allegedly trying to protect their luxury lifestyle, not protect each other. The jury wasn't moved. The judge definitely wasn't. And the prosecutors? They treated this like a slam dunk. Janice was immediately remanded into custody. No house arrest, no go home and get your affairs in order. Nothing. Straight to jail. Sean? He got a GPS ankle monitor and house arrest. For now. But don't get it twisted. Sentencing is coming. And with 5 federal counts of wire fraud, each carrying a maximum of 20 years, the court has options. This wasn't just a PR nightmare. It was a federal crime spree dressed up like a rap video. Okay, this part right here, this is where the fraud case turns into a comedy sketch. Because it wasn't enough for Sean Kingston to just promise exposure in exchange for a 6-figure home sound system. Nah. He had to name drop Justin Bieber like it was 2010, and they were still besties on MySpace. According to the lawsuit that kicked off this whole mess, Sean told Ver Entertainment that if they gave him a major discount on a luxury entertainment system, he'd star in a custom promotional video for them. Cool, whatever. But then he added the wild part. Oh yeah, Justin Bieber will be in the video too. Like, what? This man really said, "Me and Biebs doing a commercial for your little audio company." As if Justin Bieber has time to shoot local promo vids for someone else's speaker setup. It's so bold. It's almost impressive. Because it takes a special kind of confidence to lie like that with a straight face. Especially when you know damn well that Justin Bieber hasn't returned your texts since your label dropped you. Let's be honest. Kingston's relationship with Bieber is like your high school friend who made it big and doesn't even like your Instagram posts anymore. And yet, Sean still used Bieber's name as bait. He dangled it in front of a company trying to grow its brand, and when they bit, he ghosted. No video, no Bieber, no payment, just silence, and a full surround sound system installed in his mansion for free. That lie was so outrageous, it triggered the civil suit that got the feds involved. Because once Ver realized they'd been duped, they took it to court, and the receipts, or lack thereof, started stacking up real quick. And here's what makes it even more ridiculous. If he had just not mentioned Bieber, this might have slipped under the radar, but trying to pass off an international superstar as your unpaid co-star, that's next level dumb. It wasn't just fraud, it was fantasy. And that fantasy cost him everything. So now that the courtroom tears are dry and the verdict is in, the real question is, how long are they going away for? Sean Kingston and his mom, Janice Turner, were hit with 5 counts of federal wire fraud. Each charge carries a maximum of 20 years. That's potentially 100 years behind bars, if the judge really wanted to make an example out of them. Now, in reality, they probably won't get the full hammer. Judges usually follow federal sentencing guidelines, and unless you did something absolutely unhinged, like flee the country or disrespect the court, you might not get the max. But here's where things get tricky. Janice is a repeat offender. This is her second fraud conviction. The last time, back in 2006, she pled guilty to bank fraud and only served 16 months. That's light. But this time, she didn't just repeat the same crime, she upgraded it. Bigger targets, more money, federal attention, and a national scandal with her celebrity son. So don't be surprised if she takes the harder hit this time. In fact, she's already been taken into custody. No delay, no ankle monitor, straight to jail. Meanwhile, Sean is out on house arrest with a GPS bracelet, staying in a $500,000 home posted as bond, plus another $200,000 in cash. So yeah, he's technically free, for now. But that's just temporary. Sentencing is set for July and the clock is ticking. What's even worse, Kingston's entire public image is torched. He wasn't just exposed as a washed-up artist. He was exposed as a con man living off the fumes of a hit single from 2007. His brand? Cooked. His music career? Non-existent. His legacy? Reduced to courtroom memes and fraud jokes. Even if he walks away with a lighter sentence, the damage is done. The industry doesn't forget this kind of mess, especially when you drag Justin Bieber's name into it like some last-ditch clout grenade. And let's talk net worth. Sean was once reportedly worth a couple million. But between the lawsuits, seizures, unpaid debts, and legal fees, he might be broke. Like, sell the sound system, broke. And considering he never paid for it in the first place, good luck with that. So what's next for Sean Kingston? Probably prison. Definitely infamy. And maybe, just maybe, a documentary deal if he plays his cards right. When it's all said and done, Sean Kingston won't be remembered for the music. Not really. Sure, Beautiful Girl still plays at backyard BBQs and middle school dances. But let's be honest. No one's pulling that track up today thinking about his artistry. They're thinking, wait, isn't this the guy who scammed people with his mom? That's the legacy now. Not platinum plaques, not chart success, wire fraud, lies, fake receipts, a courtroom meltdown. In the end, Sean Kingston built a lifestyle on nostalgia and name dropping. But nostalgia fades, and name dropping gets dangerous when the names start suing you. The real tragedy? He had a chance. A real career. He was the first Jamaican-American artist to go #1 on Billboard in decades. He was co-signed by Bieber, had major label backing, and international appeal, and he threw it all away to play celebrity with no receipts. Now, he's the cautionary tale. The guy who tried to fake being rich until it caught up. The singer who watched his mom taken away in cuffs while screaming, "Protect my mother," in a moment that felt more like a movie scene than real life. But this isn't a movie. There's no happy ending. Just sentencing day in July, a torn reputation, and a new title, from one-hit wonder to federal offender. And that's what Sean Kingston will be remembered for.